negatively and criticizing an opponent that there was no chance he was going to have a match against. Could be. Could be that Biden was slick enough to do that. I'm going to make him waste all his energy on me, and then I'm going to drop out before the race comes up. That could be. I don't know, but we'll continue on with Roger Arnett. Good evening. Welcome to the program. Let's see if the YouTube site. That would make Trump look incompetent and not properly vetting people. I think even MAGA would admit Trump is not good at vetting people. I don't think that there's any debate. I mean, look how many people of his own administration he had to fire. Whether we're talking about the Mike Pences, the Attorney General Barrs, the Scaramucci's, the Ambassador Bowden's. He's not good at vetting people. Trump is not good at vetting people, and MAGA admits that. So yeah, that happens. He said, yeah, he did say all the best and brightest. He did say he was going to surround himself with all the best and brightest. Clearly, he did not do that. Okay, I know what happened with my box, but we'll bring up another guest if my last one. We'll give the box a minute to reset. Did Pence serve? I don't know if Mike Pence served in the military. I don't know. But I know that Trump hired a whole host of folks that were bad hires. I mean, J.D. Vance, the stuff the liberals found out on him, the Tucker Carlson, childless cat ladies and things. I mean, how long did it take them to find that? 3-4 days? That shit came out? That shows that J.D. Vance was not vetted at all. Not vetted at all. I mean, you could have had Republican women tell Trump, this ain't gonna go well for your women audience. This is not the dude to pick. I mean, obviously, J.D. Vance was not vetted at all. Talking about giving moms with children more voting power than women that don't have kids, meaning that a woman in combat, 20-year-old girl in combat with no children will have less say so than some mom sitting on the couch eating bonbons with 6 kids in the house. I mean, just zero vetting on J.D. Vance. And like I said, because of that, it would not surprise me if the Trump administration got rid of him. It would not surprise me. Trump is not the typical candidate. He does do things that you would consider unorthodox. If he got on television and within a week or two and said, we're going to pick a different candidate, J.D. Vance, for some reason, has decided to step down, wouldn't surprise me at all. It really wouldn't surprise me at all. Anytime Trump can get on television and say my vice presidential pick don't even matter, they're here to vote for me, and J.D. Vance follows that up by defending that comment, actually defending your boss's statement that you are irrelevant, J.D. Vance would probably voluntarily step down if Trump told him to do it. I mean, he actually went on television and defended Trump saying, you as a vice president are irrelevant. Nobody's even voting for you. I mean, that should have been a slap in the face. Why did you vet me? Or he didn't vet him at all anyway, but why would you pick me if I'm irrelevant? Now, Trump is 78 years old. Trump is 78 years of age. He's already outlived the typical lifespan of an American white male. Why the hell would somebody that old be talking about my vice presidential pick don't matter? You think you're going to live forever? To quote Michael Ironside in Starship Troopers, you think you're going to live forever? I know some of you folks have seen that movie. Let me go back to the box. Trump needs someone he can control. Haley will not be controlled. I don't know. Nikki Haley said all of that crap, and now look where she's at. I don't know. She might be more controllable than you think she is. James, good evening and welcome to the program. James, Tim Walz, think it was a good pick?
I'm not sure about the guy, honestly. I don't know a whole lot about him.
Well, did you see the speech he gave today?
Unfortunately, no, I did not. I got on TikTok and I was over in another room because I finally got my live chat and having fun with that.
Yep. All right. And nobody's came by and brought it up?
They were talking about it a little bit, and they were just suggesting to go watch it afterwards and stuff like that. So I'm sure I will be doing that as soon as I get off.
Yeah, there is no hotter topic right now than Kamala Harris picking Pence. Now, you lean right or left politically?
Right now, I am leaning towards Trump.
Okay. And what do you think about Kamala Harris as a presidential contender?
What I saw when she was originally running, I wasn't impressed, and I'm not surprised that she had dropped out early. So
Yeah.
I haven't been impressed with her.
Yeah.
I was more impressed with Biden.
Oh, you were impressed with Biden, but did you vote for Biden at all?
No, I did not.
Okay. And you've seen 4 years of Trump. What did you think of his first term?
My family and I did very well, and as far as the economy and stuff with Trump, didn't always agree with what he said, especially the way he said it. But
Yeah.
no new wars, stuff like that. I mean, there were some good things. So
What about the other 9 that ran? The Nikki Haley's, the Chris Christie's, the Vivek Ramaswamy's, Tim Scott. Did you favor any of them more than Trump?
I really liked Ramaswamy. He's very, very well spoken. Again, I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, but as far as having somebody standing up and giving a speech, I'd pick him.
Now, is there any difference, any significant difference between Vivek and Trump?
As far as their policies go,
Yeah.
I think Vivek is farther right as far as he
Wow.
wants to like abolish the FBI, stuff like that. I've heard. That's true, right?
Well, Trump is talking about abolishing the FBI as well.
Oh, I had only heard that he was talking about the schools and getting the Department of Education, moving that back to the states.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard the other.
Yeah, because he believes the FBI was weaponized and went after him.
Well, the what? FBI, I don't know. I could go back to JFK. There's been a lot of weird things that have happened around the FBI.
What do you think of Candace Owens as a politician? I see Christopher Bearden, and Christopher, you don't have to type it over and over again. Christopher's saying get Candace Owens. What do you think of Candace Owens being a politician?
She always says she doesn't want to, but there again, I think she is very well spoken. I've watched a lot of her stuff, and yeah, I do like her.
Kamala Harris
That's
is
what
well.
she wanted.
Kamala Harris is well spoken.
She is when she's reading off a teleprompter. Quite honestly, when you catch her off guard and stuff like that, I mean, she's not as smooth, I would say.
She hasn't done any interviews. I don't know what she sounds like when she's caught off guard. She really hasn't done any interviews. But
Yeah.
but I was in regards to Kamala, in regards to Candace Owens. Candace Owens, her only claim to fame is really holding black people accountable for irresponsible actions. All she really does is go around finding black people that are doing things wrong and point it out to a white audience. I don't see why she would make a good politician.
Like I said, very well could be. I mean, she says she has no interest in doing that, so.
Yeah, because she wouldn't win. That's probably why she would get 0% of the black vote.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Could be.
yeah. Her lane is exactly what she's doing. Be a talk. I mean, she's kind of similar to Officer Tatum or the Hodge twins, but they do it. Actually, they do a little bit more than Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, that's all she does is find blacks that are acting, committing crimes or doing stupid shit, and she pointed out to a white audience. I mean, you're not going to see Kamala Harris at some university talking to a black valedictorian or some black astronaut about to go to space. It's going to always be blacks that are acting out. That's her whole claim to fame, is making the black race look bad. Yeah. So good luck on that for a politician.
Why does she do that, though?
There's an audience for it. She's a very intelligent woman. I mean, there's money to be made. I could do that. I mean, I tend to think I'm somewhat well-spoken. I've had a lot of folks tell me that, particularly some of my beloved MAGA, like, if you would just come to our side and do some Candace Owens type stuff, you could make a lot of money. And I do believe that. I do believe I could easily bet, because there are plenty of blacks to bash. Make no mistake about it, in liberal cities, there are plenty of blacks committing crimes. Just continue to plaster them all over the internet and criticize them. I do believe I could make money doing it. I mean, there is money to have a black person saying what a lot of white America views black people as doing that are not comfortable to say it. A black person doing it, yeah, you can make a killing doing that.
Well, I guess that's maybe why I respect you and I jumped over to TikTok and got off of YouTube so I could actually talk to you because I do respect that about you. From what I've seen, you call out everybody on their own crap.
That's the goal. That is the goal. I am a libtard, also a sellout, an Uncle Ruckus. I pay a price for it, though. Nobody likes the guy that's in the middle, so I get it from both sides. But I do appreciate your support and you tuning in. I do got to move it on, though, James. Always welcome back. Thanks for coming through.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have a good night.
You too. You too. All right, looking in the comments, though. No, bro, you keep it real. I try. It says it's Keith or some 90. Thank you. I do try. You mean, yeah, we're talking about Candace Owens. Candace Owens, that is her claim to fame, is pointing out irresponsible behavior in the black community to an all-white audience. That's what she does. And she does well. I said Kamala. Oh, no, not Kamala. Kamala doesn't do that anymore. anymore. Weird Waltz got tampons. Wait a minute. This may be funny. And I didn't mean to say Kamala Harris. I'm talking about Candace Owens. Weird Tim Walz got tampons put in boys' bathrooms at school. Weird. Well, you're trying to suggest that Tim Walz, who may have favored the transgender community, that's the only reason why I would see maybe a female that transitions to a boy, but still has still menstruating because of the biological fact that she's still a girl in terms of, and that's the only thing I'm interpreting that is and suggesting that's weird. If you don't believe the transgender community should exist or believe that they're real, yeah, anything someone does to favor the transgender community is going to be weird on the right, because the folks on the right do not really believe the transgender community should even be acknowledged. So yeah, anybody that is pro-trans is weird to the right. I think President Trump stated that if he's president, he would have Congress go by the gender on your birth certificate for the rest of your life. So if you're born a man, all of your government documents will say male for the rest of your life, thereby making it impossible, at least in the eyes of government, for you to transition. I mean, that's about as anti-trans as you can get. So yeah, it's going to be weird, something like that, because the right doesn't believe transgender should even be considered a category. I mean, we're not going to let you transition. You'll always be a man to us. We're not even going to let you do it. In the comments, somebody said that's a lie. I'm not making this up. If I thought Trump was pro-trans, I'd say that. I'm not making it up. He did say that. He did say that. I could probably find the clip, but I'm not going to go into it. If you're trying to suggest that the Republican Party is favorable to the transgender community, I'll just leave it at that. I'm watching all you hateful liberals, says Wolverine. You may get to watch him for quite a while. Certainly if Kamala wins in November, you're going to see a whole lot of hateful liberals. My guess is, maybe I'm wrong, you guys can criticize me if you will, but I do believe that if Trump loses, now this could happen if he wins too, but if Trump loses, there'll probably be some celebrating in the street from liberals. I don't know how the right will act if Trump wins, but they're going to be pretty damn happy too. But I do believe if Trump loses, you're going to have, remember when Obama got on television and announced, on my orders, he had took out Osama bin Laden and everybody ran to the streets yelling USA. I believe that could happen if Trump loses. I do believe that could happen. I do believe there's a lot of people, when you guys say Trump derangement syndrome or whatever, there's a lot of people who really don't like Trump. I mean, Trump has really spent a lot of years criticizing people like hell. I mean, really saying nasty things about people. That's not to say people haven't said nasty things about President Trump as well, but President Trump never, and I put emphasis on never, he never took the high road. Anybody that said anything nasty about him, he was totally willing to get right into the mud and say nasty things about them. And in some cases, like with Colin Kaepernick and some of them folks, he was willing to say nasty things about people who hadn't said anything about him at all. So there is a lot of folks out there that are hoping to see Trump lose. Hell, there were folks who were hoping that his ear wasn't the only thing that got hit when he was in Pennsylvania. There's a lot of people wishing for his demise. I'm not a fan of it, but I'll tell you this. Let's say you got a team like the Yankees that wins. That's back in the day when the Yankees were winning year after year after year. If all of the players on the Yankees were bragging every time they win and constantly belittling all the teams they beat, you're going to have folks out there hoping and praying for the demise of the Yankees. If a player gets hit by a pitch, people are going to be cheering it on. When you act like that, people have an issue with it. And yeah, Trump spent years heavily criticizing attacks. I bring up that he talked about John McCain 2 years after the guy was dead. There's a lot of people that don't like him. So if he loses, yeah, it's going to be some serious celebrating. Gen X, Carl from Sling Blade. I don't know who that is. Carl from Sling Blade speaks better than Kamala. I don't know who Carl from Sling. You could have probably said Ozzy Osbourne, husband of Sharon Osbourne. He really speaks bad. You're saying Carl from Sling Blade speaks better than Kamala. I don't know who that is though. Going back to the box, unapologetic black man. Good afternoon. Welcome. Wait a minute. I hit something else here. Harris Waltz 2024. Hang on a second, Moses. Hold on one second, Moses. I'll tell you this, because I just saw somebody put in the comments, and I've seen a few people, Kamala Waltz 2024. One of the things I used to bring up all the time on this program, because I see no shortage of people saying Trump 2024. I never saw Biden 2024 on the program. 2 years, I never saw it. Very, very rare. I'm seeing Kamala Waltz 2024. There are people that want Kamala to win. The Biden folks just wanted Trump to lose, but there are people who want Kamala to win. Moses, good evening.
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm doing real good.
I got up here. I guess one of your mods, decided. I guess I might have been saying too much in the comments, so they brought me up.
Moses, this is a one-man band. We do not have mods. We are about free speech. There are no moderators to this show. It is just me.
Yeah, okay, I understand that, but what I'm saying is I don't know how I got up because I didn't request.
Okay.
But anyway, since I'm here, I am a friendly, I'm for Harris and
Biden. You don't have to be friendly. We believe in both sides getting to speak, but you're for Harris. Do you think Tim Walz was a good pick?
Yeah, I go along with him. I go along with pretty much anybody that that's a Democrat. Because they're about rights.
And you don't believe Trump is for rights? You think Trump is trying to take away rights?
It's plain as day.
Give me some examples.
Well, he says it out his mouth. I'm talking about every time he speaks.
What? If Trump is reelected, what right do you fear you would lose?
Well, he already done said it. He's taking away voting rights, taking away what he won't gonna make it. Where women can't get no kind of kid all over the country. And that immunity, for police.
Yeah, the immunity for police thing is the immunity thing is frightening. But I haven't heard Trump talking about taking away voting rights. You're telling me he said he was going to take away voting rights. Where did you hear that at?
Well, that's a Republican plan. Okay. That's the reason why the Supreme Court, is the way it is right now. That's been their plan for decades.
Wow.
To undo the civil rights.
You think the Republican Party, if Trump is elected, you think they would undo the Civil Rights Act?
Plain and simple, yes.
Wow, that's scary. That is scary. I hope you're wrong, but damn, that's scary, Moses. Wow, Jesus.
I hope I'm wrong too. But that's the way they sound. I'm talking about that's the way they talk and the way I'm talking about they don't let nothing, work. You know, everything they talk about, you know, is tearing something down, you know.
Yeah. Now, in regards to what you're talking about, voting rights, Patowski does point out, Patowski, a viewer on YouTube, points out that he said in a speech recently that people won't need to vote again after the election. Did you hear that speech?
I surely did.
How did you view that?
And that's the way I took it.
Yeah. I could see how somebody could take that, because he did say, he was talking to Christians and he stated, vote for me, and if you do it this once, you'll never have to vote again. Now I understand MAGA had a different interpretation for it, but he did say that. Yeah, I can't say he didn't say that. But man, go ahead.
Well, there's three reasons, you know, why, you know, I really don't like Trump, you know, and I don't believe nothing that he said. You know, one of the three reasons is when he first come out, you know, he started bashing Obama, you know, with the
birther.
Birth certificate and stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that was so unnecessary. You know, why you doing this here, man? Why you putting these people, you know, family, you know, in harm's way, you know? Children can't much go out, you know, by themselves, you know. You know, with the nonsense that he did. That was disrespectful. I'm talking about to the core.
Yeah.
And then that was the first one that, you know, that really got me. I'm talking about this bothered me, that bothered the devil out of me, you know.
Right.
And then that January 6th. I'm talking about, how can a person, you know, I'm talking about, try to make this man seem like a good person after January 6th? That just don't compute with me.
Yeah, I do believe January 6th for a lot of Americans is a wound that hasn't healed. I do believe a lot of folks, like what you're mentioning, are not fans of Trump. I think Geraldo Rivera is one of them. He's he's been friends with Trump, he says, for over 30 years. And he stated that because of January 6th, he doesn't believe Trump is qualified to ever be president again, and he won't vote for him. And he stated him and Trump stopped talking after that, when he went on television and said what Trump did was wrong. So, yeah, you're right. There are people who will forever hold January 6th against Trump. I don't disagree with that.
Well, I end my conversation there.
You held yourself well. So, are you happy with Tim Walz, or you said you go along to get along?
Yeah, with the Democrats, you know, is kind of people's man that you can work with, you know, and you know, and make decisions and not be threatened and all that kind of stuff. You know, you can't do that with Republicans. You're gonna be threatened if you don't get in line, you know.
But that is somewhat of a new thing. It wasn't like that all the time, but we are in a tribalistic society now. So yeah, people are like, if you're not with us, you're the enemy. We have gotten quite tribalistic like that. All right, Moses, I do appreciate this first time coming through. Listen, don't hesitate, man. Come on back through anytime. It's always good to talk.
Yeah, let me say this last thing.
Sure.
I'm all about, you know, trying to get together. And so, you know, if we don't ever figure that out, you know, we're going to be kind of, you know, lost in the weeds. But anyway, thank you for having me up. God bless you, man, and stay safe.
My sentiments exactly. Come back anytime, Moses. Appreciate it. All right.
Thank you, man.
Anytime. Moving the program on, wanted to respond to Super Chat from the one and only Gen Xer. Fuck around and find out. Says, listening to Kamoto. A lot of folks are referring to Kamala Harris as Kamo, Kamal, Kamoto. Listening to Kamoto speak and trying to figure out what the fuck she is saying is like being dragged through a big field of cut tree stumps. Really? You think? I don't know. I think Kamala Harris, did you hear the speech today? I think she was fairly legible. I don't know. I would give that more to Biden or somebody. Now that's one of the things that was very effective for the Trump campaign, is pointing out Biden losing his train of thought, mumbling, stumbling over words. Kamala Harris is pretty damn clear. I don't know about that. Because I watched the speech today. I'm assuming many of you did too. I didn't see her as being illegible. I thought Kamala Harris was quite legible. I didn't have any problem understanding anything she was saying. Maybe that's just me. That is a lie, bro, says Christopher. What, you couldn't understand Kamala Harris? Is it really? You guys couldn't understand her? Now you got me wanting to hear some of the speech. I don't see it. I didn't see it. Okay, well, that's Tim Walz. By the way, Tim Walz's speech was clearly legible. I'd have to bring up Kamala, but yeah. And I see the comment. T-Mac says MAGA can't understand intelligence. Wow, MAGA only knows locker room talk. See what you guys done triggered now. Kamala Harris, you couldn't understand it. I'm really curious to just before we go back to the box to hear a couple clips because I don't know. I'm lost. I'm just gonna say that I'm lost.
It's good to be here with all of the friends, all of the leaders who are here. I want to thank former Governor Ed Rendell.
You don't understand this?
Senator Bob Casey, who we will re-elect this November. Senator John Fetterman. Mayor Sherelle Parker. And Chairman Jamie Harrison. And it is so good to be here with your incredible Governor Josh Shapiro.
How could you not understand that? See in the comments, Lada Delata says it's terrifying that people actually trust her. Well, she doesn't have a lengthy history of lying. I mean, I think it's safe to say she lied about some of Biden's cognitive abilities, but outside of that, it's not like. Now, I would tell you this. There are far more lies you can recite from President Trump. I didn't sleep with Stormy Daniels, and I mean, some of the. I think Trump has said more, because Trump is, simply put, I'm not saying that Trump is some kind of compulsive liar, but I can tell you right off the top of the dome, there are far more lies that Trump has stated than Kamala Harris. I know more about COVID than anybody. I know more about the war on the ground than the generals. But you're going to say you can't trust Kamala? You're just hostile to different opinions than your own, says Jizz. Not hostile. I may be curious. I may be biased to some degree. I'm not going to deny that, but I'm not hostile to adverse opinions, which is why I'm reading your comments. If I was hostile, I'd probably delete, block, ban, or censor them like a lot of anti-MAGA do. But I believe in letting MAGA speak. I don't do that. And continuing on with the same individual says the country has been run horribly for the last 4 years. Depends on what side of the aisle you're on. And now, Jizz, you say the country has been ran horribly for the last 4 years. That's an argument that could be made, but it's generally going to be people on the right that's going to make that argument. People on the left would disagree with that. And last but not least, I'm the poorest I've ever been. And while I don't want Trump in, I'm not supporting Harris. Well, you're the poorest you've ever been in your life. You believe all of that is Biden's fault. It has nothing to do with your education, has nothing to do with your employer, where you're working, how much you're earning, and none of that. You're the poorest you've ever been, and it's all 100% Biden's fault. Okay. All right, let me go back to the box. Continue the program on. One of my subscribers, Anthony. Good evening. Welcome to the program, Anthony. Did you lose your job? Yeah, I'm not the poorest I've been under Biden. What about you, Anthony? Did your income go way down when Biden got elected? Appreciate that, alter ego. Thank you.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. I mean, did you see?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Did you take any financial hits when Biden became president from Trump?
Not at all. Let me put it this way. When Trump became president, I was working in the oil field.
Okay.
And my income was a lot higher than what it is now because the price of oil went down. and they laid off a lot of people because of what was going on. And then I worked in the construction field, but it's all in how you manage your responsibilities. That's what I think a lot of Americans don't understand. If you manage how you behave and how everything goes in your life, I think you would survive almost any president. I don't blame a president for the price of my groceries, because if I am shopping at Trader Joe's when I'm making a lot of money, I switch when there's a president that I don't agree with, and I shop at a lesser grocery store.
Yeah. Well, here's a comment that came in from Blue Flame Chevy. I think it's a bit humorous. He says they're the poorest they've ever been because they're buying Trump merchandise. Think that
I could see where a lot of people don't understand that you got to change with what's happening around you.
Well, yeah, but even if you change, you do get to blame the president that made it necessary that you had to trade. If you got to change, let's say you like eating at Trader Joe's, in regards to the example you use, Biden comes in office and all of a sudden you got to go to Ralph's or Food Lion because you can't afford Trader Joe's anymore. Isn't that something you can blame on Biden? Under Trump, I used to be able to eat at Trader Joe's. Now with Biden, I got to eat at Aldi's. I mean, that is something you could bring up.
Okay, let's say this. Okay, so I was eating at Trader Joe's with Trump, but what happens next is that I realize and I understand that things are going to change because there are certain things in the economy that's going to happen. You had COVID that happened, so prices was going to go up. Okay, let's look at lumber. Okay, when we're building a home and the price of lumber goes up because of COVID, because of transportation costs and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Why didn't it go down when gas prices started to go down, when a lot of things have started to change? Why don't those prices go down?
Because a lot of things that Biden is receiving the blame for are actually corporate greed. That's why the prices are not going down. People gotten used to paying a lot, and the corporations know you've gotten used to paying more, so they're going to keep you on the fence as long as they can. It's not Biden's fault in a lot of these cases.
No, so it's not Biden's fault. So if it's not Biden's fault, why don't you adjust? Why don't most people adjust? Why do they blame the president and not adjust because it's not the president's fault?
Because they don't like the president. That's why they're doing it.
Okay, well, you see, then that's their problem, not his problem.
All right, and I can't argue with that, but that's why it's being done, is you're going to blame things on the president. The liberals do it too. But I mean, if you don't like the person, because I think the right refers to it as Trump derangement syndrome, where you're hating on them for any damn thing. Well, the left does. I mean, the right does the same thing. They just don't call it Kamala derangement syndrome, but it's the same damn thing. Yeah. So overall, do you think Tim Walz was a good pick?
From what I've seen, yes.
Okay. Now
I thought Shapiro was gonna be the way, but that didn't happen. But yeah. You know what?
You lean left politically?
Yes.
Let me ask you this question, and I guess I'd ask this to most Democrats, but I'm gonna ask you to somebody who leans left. Wolverine in the comments. Now I'm certain he leans right. I believe he's MAGA. We've talked plenty of times before. Points out something you hear a lot coming from the right. And he says you couldn't even pick your candidate. Now, as a left-leaning voter yourself, do you feel slighted in any way that Kamala was essentially propelled to the gig and you didn't have some type of virtual primary? You didn't get to vote on it when Biden stepped down. It just went to Kamala. Do you feel like you should have got to vote on it?
Not really. No.
Yeah, I haven't talked to it. I haven't
I
talked to a
think
Democrat that has said yesterday. Everybody I hear complaining about that are people who are not going to vote. They're not going to vote Democrat no matter who the candidate is.
no, I don't think anybody should be slighted the fact that they picked Kamala for the nominee. I mean, even the primary hasn't even happened. So what happens? The delegate does that.
Well, the delegates have already picked Kamala.
But has a primary happened so that it's
No, there's not going to be a primary. It's already been. I mean, everybody has already given their votes. She already has
okay?
more than enough. Kamala's going to be the
Okay.
nominee no matter what.
So then, what's the disconnect?
The disconnect is the right wants us to fight, and that will make whoever ultimately gets to the top more bruised. That's the whole. I mean, the only people that are saying that you should have a vote as opposed to just giving it to Kamala are people that are not going to vote for any Democrat, no matter who gets put in. Them are the ones that are telling you to do it because they want, at the end of the day, to make the Democrat candidates fight against each other because it will create division in the party. And whatever candidate reaches the top will be bruised. The right wants that to happen.
So pretty much they wanted Biden out so that we could fight.
Yeah. Well, no, they wanted Biden in because he was a weak candidate. But if Biden has to go, then we want you to fight and hopefully
No, but
weaken
they
the
were
next
calling
guy.
for him to retire, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they were.
So they wanted him out, and then when he decided to be out, they got butthurt because now they don't have a plan for
Yeah.
her.
I think all of that in the bag of chips. Everything what you just said is true.
So
Yeah.
it's not our fault. That's a them problem.
Fair enough. I can't argue with that. All right, Anthony, I do got to move it on, but yeah, that's pretty much it. It's that it's just like with abortion. It's one of those deals where the dog chases the car, and once the dog catches up, he doesn't know what to do. And that's what happened. They've been chasing the rolling back of abortion rights. Now that they've caught up with the car, it's like, damn, this actually is hurting us pretty damn bad. I think if Trump could have a do-over, he would at least want that to hold back until after the election is over. And the same thing with Biden dropping out. They constantly talked about Biden's cognitive abilities. He's too old. He needs to step down. Now that he's done it, they're like, well, shit, maybe it wasn't a good idea to ask this for us to ask for this. So it's like the dog that chases the car.
You know, another thing, when people blame Kamala for not saying that Biden was not cognitive enough.
Right.
I mean, she is the VP, and it's like if you trust in somebody enough that they are doing their job, and even though people are coming at him really hard, she in somewhat had to protect him so that it doesn't fall apart completely.
I don't know. You can't. I think she should have said more. I'm going to hold her accountable for that. Not, it is what it is.
Maybe to an extent,
Yeah.
but she still had to. It's like you're a soldier, and if somebody comes against you as a foreign adversary, you're gonna protect your general no matter what.
All right. I'll leave it at that. Appreciate you coming through, Anthony. All right. Moving on with the program. Let me and thank you, Anthony, by the way. I want to read a super chat real quick. What has she done? She's vice president, Lana DeLay. What has Mike Pence done? What has Dick Cheney done? What did Al Gore do? Vice presidents are not known for having a lengthy amount of accomplishments while vice president. I don't know why Kamala Harris is expected to do so damn much. What did Mike Pence do? You don't hear MAGA, and MAGA suggests that the Trump administration was one of the best presidential administrations in history. What did MAGA do? I mean, what did Mike Pence do that was so great? Ed G, thank you for the super chat, says, she said today is today, yesterday was the past, tomorrow is the future, so today is the present. She said a lot to say nothing. I didn't hear that, Ed, but I'm not going to deny it. You're saying that Kamala Harris got up there and basically spoke and said a lot of nothing. That does happen. I mean, but you already know what the deflection and the pushback is going to be. Talking about sharks, talking about what was this, Hannibal Lecter. I mean, Joe Biden talked about cannibals. You got Kennedy talking about bringing bears off in Central Park. If Kamala got up there as a politician and said a bunch of nothing, that wouldn't be the first time that happened. I mean, like I said, President Trump is going around talking about how much he likes Hannibal Lecter. That's a whole lot of nothing, too. So I'm not going to disagree with you, but I think that's part of being a politician. Sometimes you're going to get up there when you're hell, I do it. I'm sure I get folks in the comments all the time like, you're full of shit. What you said make no damn sense. I mean, if you speak long enough, there are going to be moments where your shit is incoherent. It happens. That's part of speaking. Wolverine, you speak about Trump tweaking. Is that what that is? Tweaking democracy, but you just got yours stole from you, from the liberal elite. That ship has sailed. I hear a lot. I was just talking about that with the last guest. The whole, here's the argument, because Kamala Harris got the delegates without there being some type of primary. The argument is that the Democrats had democracy stolen from them. And if they're willing to entertain that, then they have no right to complain about January 6th. Fine, if that's the way you want to look at it. At the end of the day, the Democrats want to beat Trump. That is far, far more important to the Democratic Party than getting a chance to vote on a candidate that might not be Kamala. If Kamala can win and take down Trump, I submit to you that the Democrats would be happy with a roach if they feel confident it could beat Trump. Voting for the candidate of choice is obviously important, but taking down Trump for the Democratic Party right now is significantly more so, which is why the Democrats are not arguing with Trump being at the top of the ticket. The unity in the party, it's been 16 days, I believe it is, since Kamala became the presumptive nominee. Biden dropped out 2 Sundays ago. In 16 days, look at the amount of energy that is orbiting around the Democratic Party. $300 million has been raised. Campaign rallies that look like damn basketball games, NBA games all of a sudden. I don't think the Democrats are going to step up and say, you know what, we'd rather vote somebody else in, or let's take our chances with a primary. By all intents and purposes, the Democratic Party is energized and potentially on the path to winning a bunch of swing states. They're not going to change that because people on the right are telling them, well, you should have voted for somebody. Their goal is to win. And right now, it looks like they have a real chance of doing that. Putting in Kamala is the equivalent of taking out 2 dead Rayovacs, AAAs, and putting in 2 brand new Energizer D batteries. I mean, I'm sure you've had a motorized device where you took out some old batteries where the thing was barely moving around and you plugged in some Energizers and all of a sudden the thing is going like crazy. That's what's happened. The Democratic Party don't have a problem with Kamala. The right does, because they can see that she's far more competitive against Trump. I'm not saying that she's going to win. She still may lose, but she is undoubtedly far more energetic, far more competitive against Trump than Biden ever was. Democratic Party is not going to vote for somebody else when they got somebody that's performing like that. So good luck with that. That's all I can say. Wanted to thank you for that underwater display. I didn't see who that came from, but I do want to show appreciation for that. Pamela, I think that's it. Let's make it happen. Good evening. Welcome to the program. Thank you, by the way, Pammy. Good evening.
You're welcome.
Hey, so what do you think, Kamala? You favor Kamala? Not Kamala, but
yes.
Tim Walz. You think?
Hell yes.
Oh, you favor both?
Hell yes.
That sounds energetic. So you think she could beat Trump?
Did you hear Waltz today? Oh my God, he was on fire. The Democrats are gonna blow Donald Trump and the couch fucker out of the water. Out of the water.
Do you believe that's Do you believe that story about the couch is real?
If it's not, it's playing and we're going to use it.
Yeah.
You know, I remember Bill Maher always said, he gets mad. He said, Democrats come to fight the Republicans with a knife, and the Republicans got a pew-pew, and the Democrats are nicey nice. Well, we're tired of being nicey nice, and we're taking this, and we're taking the Congress, and we're taking the Senate, and shit's gonna go purple like it did in Obama, and it's gonna be, like Stevie Nicks said, a landslide. And we will never, ever, ever, ever forget January 6th, sir. Never. That will be a stain on our history. We still are mad at the Republicans for taking those judges and putting them in taking the Supreme Court judges, their picks, and screwing Obama out of his pick.
Yeah.
He should have got it.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I see Ricardo in the comments also was suggesting that January 6th will be remembered in 100 years. I agree with you that unless Trump gets back in office and he can somehow repair the image of January 6th, that will never be forgotten. And Make Me King, thank you for the subscription, appreciate that. Yeah, January 6th is going to be a stain on the Trump presidency for the rest of our lives. It'll certainly be a topic of discussion. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I said this earlier. I would not be surprised if J.D. Vance was taken off the ticket.
That's what I was thinking. And I heard Rupert Murdoch had a conversation. This is just hearsay through the internet, but I heard he had a conversation with Trump to step down and let another Republican come up.
Wow. Wouldn't surprise me because he's certainly not helping the Trump campaign at all. I mean, I don't see where J.D. Vance brings in any voters because Trump already was going to win Ohio. Trump already was going to win the evangelicals. So I don't see where he benefits Trump at all.
I don't see it either. I see him hurt me more than anything. And if Waltz and Vance get to debate, Katie barred the door.
Yeah. J.D. Vance has made so many controversial statements that would undoubtedly be introduced in the debate. I don't see how he could win a debate because some of that stuff, the childless cat ladies, I mean, how else can you explain that?
Boy, that had to piss Taylor Swift off. Don't piss Taylor off. But the guy's not right. I don't know why Trump picked him. He just ain't right up there.
That's almost as bad. That's almost as bad as that's almost as bad as Tim Walz referred to him as weird. You said the guy is not right.
I know. And one thing about Waltz, he has been pro-life forever in Minnesota. He's been pro-life forever.
Pro-life or pro-choice?
I mean pro-choice. I'm
sorry. Okay, all right. Because he passed law. Yeah, he passed some laws defending a woman's right to choose in Minnesota.
Yes, he did. And they're gonna take that, and I'm just so excited. I've never been so more excited in my life. I'm donating to Kamala with my own money, and I will help her answer phones. I will do whatever I have to do.
Wow. Yeah, and by the way, real quick in the comments, someone stated, Tim, you never laugh like that when Republicans say funny shit. Biased as hell. You don't watch the show enough, my three kids. I laugh at a lot of Republican criticisms of me and of other folks in the comments. That's not true. But so you're donating to the Kamala Harris campaign. You feel energized. So you do believe this is a ticket to win. Pammy, am I correct?
Yes, the last time I donated was for Obama.
Wow. Were you going to vote for Biden at all?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Because I'm scared of Trump and I don't care if he says the 2024 or 2025 thing isn't a real thing. His 47 is similar to it. He's just not. He's too off the Richter scales. I'm sorry. I don't understand this Hannibal Lecter thing he keeps saying. It's crazy, crazy crap.
Yeah.
And we Americans are better than this. We are better than Trump.
Wow.
He's never thought about lower poor class. And this Waltz guy, they're trying to drag him through the mud because he gave public schools
Free lunch.
for women tampons free to the lower class, and they're giving him crap about it.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to be challenging for the Republican Party, because Tim Walz, for all intents and purposes, is fairly squeaky clean. I mean, they're blaming him for how he handled the riots during the George Floyd, but other than that, I mean, there's virtually nothing to go with. I mean, and they're trying their best. There's not a lot to come up with on that guy. The Democrats vetted him pretty damn good, seems like.
I think they did a hell of a job. I mean, everybody wanted Pete Buttigieg, but he couldn't be. America's not ready for a gay man yet. They're just not. I mean, I like him, but he's a smart man. But as long as he stays in the administration, I'm fine with that.
I didn't see, just like I mentioned with J.D. Vance, I don't see what Pete Buttigieg would have brought to Kamala Harris's campaign. I don't see. I mean, obviously, she's going to win the LGBT community anyway. They're not going to vote for Trump. So, yeah, what do you bring? Just like with like I mentioned with J.D. Vance, Trump was going to win Ohio, and he was going to win the evangelicals. Those are the two that are really favoring J.D. Vance, is the state of Ohio and evangelicals. Trump was going to win those anyway. So it's like I don't see what I don't see what J.D. Vance does for that campaign.
No, I don't either. But I appreciate you, sir, and we will talk after the election, because we're going to be seeing Madam President sitting in the White House.
Wow, 91 days to go. Are you excited?
I'm so over the top excited. I can't stand myself. I can't even sleep tonight.
Oh my
I had to get on here and talk to you.
I appreciate that. Shout out to the Pointer Sisters. I'm so excited and I just can't hide it. About to lose control and I think I like it. Anytime, come on back through, Pammy.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Absolute. I think a lot of folks on the left feel just like my last caller. Real quick in the comments, Ed G says, so tampons in a men's restroom, does that make sense? No, I mean, well, I'd have to hear, I'm going to use the same thing you often hear when it comes to President Trump. I need to hear the context of it. Why are there tampons in a men's restroom? I need to hear the context of it. Are there transgender students that identify as male in the school that may use the restroom? That's the way I'm interpreting, because I know the right does. Like I said, the right doesn't give a damn about the transgender community, and they don't believe in making those special provisions like that for the transgender community. But I would ask you, because you said, does it make sense? On its face, Ed G, and I thank you for your support of the program, Ed G, always. On its face, no, it doesn't make sense. But is that enough? Putting tampons in the men's restroom, would that make me not vote for somebody? Is that egregious enough that I wouldn't vote for a candidate? No. I mean, no, that you got to come up with way more than that. Way more than that. Watch your mouth, liberals. I'm watching you, Wolverine. All right, keep watching. How about you can't defend your city from riots? I pointed this out earlier. If Tim Walz, after the George Floyd riots, had took a really aggressive approach, he did call in the National Guard, but let's say he did it on day one, went through there and like Trump did when he was going across the street with the Bible, went in there and tear gassed everybody, hauled everybody out and threw them in the back of a paddy wagon, took them in. What would the right be saying? Why would you vote for this guy? Look what he did to black folks when they tried to protest. That's what the right would be saying. But because he is too soft, you want to complain that he's soft on it as well. So I don't. Once again, I don't think that's going to make a big difference for people on the left and for independents. I don't think that's going to make a big difference. Bringing up how he handled the riots of 2020 with George Floyd. Like I said, the guy is so squeaky clean that this is the stuff coming up. I just don't believe most voters are going to be really that concerned with that. But I'll give you a solution. President Trump has referred to Black Lives Matter as a terrorist outfit. He tweeted out, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Would you favor that over what Tim Walz did? Because that's what Trump is suggesting. If we're going to point out Tim Walz did not stop the looting from happening, well, his adversaries say you should have just shot them all. Is that a better solution? Because if you're going to bring up Tim Walz, I'm going to counter with what Trump suggested, which is that you just come up and shoot them all. I think I'd rather deal with what Tim Walz did. You can put a fire out. You can use insurance to rebuild businesses or whatever. I don't want people being shot. Trump tweeted out, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Would that have been a better solution if Tim Scott, or not Tim Scott, where the hell did that come from? If Tim Walz, would that have been a better solution? Would you be celebrating that? If Tim Walz called in the National Guard and ordered them to shoot looters and folks on site? That's what Trump is alluding to. Looking in the comments, you're not looting if they shooting. That's not true. Folks have stated that. Listen, if you shot looters, it'll stop it from happening. The death penalty has never stopped a single crime from being committed. A lot of folks know in Texas, they know in the Sunshine State down in Florida that if they commit an act of murder, they could be penalized up to and including capital punishment. You think there's a shortage of murders in Florida or Texas? Tougher punishments don't stop crime. I just want to point that out. It does not stop crime. You think the war on drugs stop people from getting high, stop people from selling drugs? The punishments got to be real draconian. 3-strike laws, putting people in prison for the rest of their life. Did it stop any of that? No. So if you start taking the life of looters, it's not going to stop it. It doesn't stop anything else. But that is what Trump was suggesting. When the looting starts, the shooting starts. So if you think Tim Walz was too soft, I'm going to assume you favor Trump's stance. But I don't believe that the whole handling of that is going to hurt Walz one bit. I just don't. Looting, shooting was really a looting, or was it looting, shooting? Was that really a looting? It's rhyming, or was it about saying what could have been? I don't know, but Trump tweeted it out. And it sounds like we know Trump. First of all, Trump referred to Black Lives Matter as a terrorist group. And then he's talking about shooting protesters. So it's pretty clear that what do you want to happen to terrorists? Who gives a damn if a terrorist lose their life? It's pretty clear that Trump favors killing members of Black Lives Matter that get out of line. I think if you just listen to his words, it's pretty clear that he's okay with Black Lives Matter members that get out of line being killed. I think that's pretty obvious. If you want to interpret what he's saying fairly, radical right Republicans want less government for their agendas and more government for agendas they don't like. Don't approve with a double standard load. I don't see what that says. Total hypocrisy by the radical right Republicans. There's some validity to that. The claim that radical right Republicans want less government for certain agendas, and for instance, abortion. They want more government for that. But agendas that the right favors, they want. Yeah, I agree with that. But it's also on the left. It's not. The left is the same way. More government for what they favor, less government for what they don't. It's both sides. Should we have shot the January 6th protesters? Lindsey Graham says you should have. Senator Lindsey Graham said you should shoot him in the head. So go ask Lindsey Graham that question. Protest black. I don't know. Have you got on here? It wrote things like Trump wait a minute, have you got on here and wrote things like Trump, does you'd be in a lot of trouble. That makes no sense there, Eric. In fact, a lot of my live streams have Trump's name in them. I've mentioned Trump all over the page, all over the live streams, all over the place. I talk about Trump all the time. I don't know what you're talking about. Make me, does that say a sandwich? Does that say a sandwich? He's all about the supremacy and genetic survival, fear of a black and brown planet. Shout out to Public Enemy. Fear of a black planet. Takes a nation of millions to hold us back. Make me, does that make me a sandwich?
No, it's Make Me King.
Make Me King, okay. I got a guy named Make Me a Sandwich on the program as well. So what do you think? Do you think Kamala Harris made the right pick with Tim Walz?
At first, I was thinking that, I didn't really I don't really know about him at first. And I'm a millennial, so.
Okay.
I didn't really get into politics until January 6th, actually. But
wow.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take it you didn't celebrate on January 6th.
Oh, negative, no.
Yeah.
I didn't like that at all. But when I heard the speech tonight, I was just like, yeah, maybe he is the right one. I'm kind of like you, first of all, let me say I appreciate what you do on this platform.
Thank you.
And I like how you hear both sides and all that.
Appreciate that.
But I kind of lean more middle like you. At first, when I first voted, I voted for Obama. And that was because, I was young. I didn't really know better.
All right.
But when 2016 came around and I was like, okay, maybe Trump is, the right one. Then he started doing what he's doing. And
did you vote for Trump or Hillary Clinton or Bernie or any of those?
I'm ashamed to say that I actually set that out.
Okay. All right. What about Trump versus Biden in 2020?
2020, I voted for Biden. I'm from Mississippi, right?
Okay.
So I saw the racism that I'm from Mississippi, the Bible Belt, one of the most conservative states in the world, if you want to say it like that. And I saw how he brought all the racism out and all the hatred, I want to say. And it kind of threw me off from Trump. And I was like, maybe this is just not what it is. I'm a Christian. Let me say that also. Okay. And me being a Christian, I feel like even if Jesus Christ came down here today, I don't think the conservatives will, the MAGA, let me say, will vote for him,
Why wouldn't MAGA vote for Jesus?
Because Jesus was crucified by his own people, you know what I mean? He was crucified by the Jews, and Jesus was Jewish, right? Yeah. So if Jesus came down here saying, because Christianity is supposed to be a choice, right? Okay. And it's supposed to be either you choose Jesus or you don't choose Jesus. And if you don't choose Jesus, there's other ways, but the MAGA is trying to force it on you, you know what I mean? It's like,
well, that's kind of how, you're African American. How do you think most of your ancestors became Christians? Because it was forced on them. They didn't come from Africa as Christians. They came over here, and just like you see the old episode, you see the old miniseries Roots, where the guy Kunta Kinte was forced to go by the name Toby. They did religion the same way. You couldn't come over here and practice your own religion.
That's true. But at this point in the age of 2024, we got all this knowledge out there and all this facts out there that we can do our own research, but most people still choose Christianity. I do my research. Like I said, I'm a millennial. I do my research. Google is out there. It's free to everybody. And I do my own research, but I still choose Christianity because I feel like it's the only thing that makes sense. But at the same time, I feel like...
Now, I was brought up Christian, but you say it's the only thing that makes sense. You really think people living to be 800 years and some dude parting the sea by hand and people turning into piles of salt and bursting into flames and talking fruit You really think that makes sense?
Well, here's the thing. Metaphors and whatever the Bible says, we don't really know what the Bible really says because it's the King James version. It's like what we live off of. So they burned a lot of books during the medieval ages. And you got the people talking about Ethiopia's the real Bible and all that. You got all these different conspiracies, but it's all about what you believe. I mean, I'm not saying that you should believe it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't believe it. I'm just saying what I believe. You know what I mean? But
no, I'm just bringing it up because you said you go with Christianity more because it makes sense, and I'm just pointing out, talking snakes and all that. I mean, taking a rib from a dude and making a whole girl out of it. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if all Christianity makes sense either.
I mean, but at the same time, but it's all about what you believe, and it's all about what makes you cope and what keeps your mental health going.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
But back to the topic. Like I said, I voted for Obama because apparently he was black. But
is that not racist? You voted for the man because of his skin color? Does that make you a racist?
No, because I want to say because I was lost back then. You know what I mean? If he was now, I probably wouldn't do it because I'm a little older and I think for myself.
Okay.
But if I'm still like on the fence, like I'm still in the middle, but I kind of lean more left than I do right because, like I said, I'm from Mississippi. It's a little more racist, right? But if I was to vote for Kamala, it would only be because I have a daughter, and that's something my daughter can look up to. It's nothing to do with race. It's nothing to do with gender. Well, it is kind of gender.
Well, it's definitely gender the way you framed it.
Gender, but it's more because it's something my daughter can look up to. And
yeah, but you don't hear any policy she's promoting at your favor, like she believes in healthcare being a right, tuition forgiveness, a woman having the right to choose. I mean, there could be. Is there no policy she's promoting that you like?
Well, like I said, it's my daughter. It's my daughter having the voice to choose.
Yeah.
I would want my daughter to have the same rights as I did growing up, or as anybody growing up. And even if I have any more daughters, I would want to let them have more choices. It's all about choice.
That's
and
a
if
good
you
point.
want to take those choices away, that's just not what I see as America. You know what I mean?
Well said. Well said. And she does have policies. I'll discuss that with the audience, but I got to move it on, man. I do appreciate you coming in as always. Good talk. Come on back anytime.
All
right. Good talk. Moving the program on real quick. So in the comments, Big Bird Mac 33 says she has no policies. That's not true. If Kamala Harris had no policies, then why the hell are folks on the right saying that she's far left? You can't call somebody with no policies a far left politician. So clearly you think she has policies. She does have policies. Now, tonight she discussed universal health care, for instance. She discussed, background and common sense gun laws. Those are policies. Obviously, a woman having the right to choose is a policy. She does have policies. I would tell you this. Whether you like Biden or you despise Biden, you can assume that at least about 70 to 80% of what Biden stood for, you're going to get out of Kamala. Most of the traditional left-wing policies you're going to get out of Kamala. She's not going to go in there and be unpredictable on abortion, unpredictable on whether children should have free lunch in schools. I mean, there are certain policies you can kind of state that it's a given coming from Kamala Harris. So she has policies. But like I said, tonight during her speech, if you listen to her speech tonight, she stated some of them. She actually stated many of her policies. Ed G, you can't say it makes no sense talking about religion, but support males can become females. That's not a bad statement. But I would also add vice versa as well. I mean, but I don't necessarily support a man becoming a woman, but I do believe that you can feel like you're in the wrong body. And simply put, yeah, if you're born with male genitalia, you are a man no matter what clothing you're wearing or what restroom you're using. I agree with that 100%. But at the same time, I don't find it harmful for a person to transgender. So just let them do it. I'm not in the camp that if a man transitions to a woman, he's going to go into the female bathroom and assault everybody in the damn place. I don't buy into that. I don't know why the right continues to confuse the LGBT community with pedophiles. They don't have a history of that. The right, I mean, better yet, the LGBT community does not have a history of abusing kids. Yet the right continues to make it sound like the whole purpose of the LGBT community is to abuse children. That's just not it. And I see in the comments, Spider says it happens. Well, if you're going to hold people accountable for abusing children, you should get out of the Christian religion. I can tell you for damn sure, Christians have abused a hell of a lot more kids than the LGBT community. It would take generations for the LGBT community to even commit a fraction of the abuses towards children that Christianity has. So keeping your kids away from the LGBT community, transgender, drag queens, but sending them to church on Sunday is backwards as fuck. Because that is where most of this stuff has happened, is in the Christian religion. You're going to keep your kids from people who have very little instance of abusing children, but then take them to a location on Sunday that has a lengthy documented history of doing it for probably over 100 years. Probably over 100 years. Make it make sense, folks. Look it in the comments. Tim, are you going to lose a whole lot of supporters, bro? Why? Anybody that would drop me and by the way, that's what free speech is about. I'm going to say things that some folks favor, some folks dislike. I mean, the same thing when I get MAGA on a program and I let MAGA have a forum to speak freely, my liberals say you're going to lose liberals because you're allowing them to promote disinformation, hate, racism, whatever the case may be. Free speech works like that. People who don't like free speech, they're going to drop out. People who don't like to hear adverse opinions, yeah, you're going to lose those people. That's not my platform anyway. I'm not anybody that doesn't like to hear adverse opinions. I always tell them all the time, go to places where you will hear people say things that you only want to hear. This isn't that place. Yeah, I'm willing to lose those people. Simple as that. So, but what I'm suggesting, what I'm saying is as true as can be. There's no denying the Catholic, Mormon, Lutheran, Baptist churches all have a huge, lengthy history of abusing children. If that makes me lose right-wing followers, then they're not for free speech. They're not based in fact. Anybody that tries to pretend like these different branches of Christianity don't have that history, feel free to go somewhere else. I mean, really, if you want to tell me that the transgender or the gay community has been more harmful to children than the Catholic Church, that's never going to work with me. I'm willing to lose you as a viewer if that's the hill you're going to die on. I'm willing to lose you as a viewer. Looking in the comments, research shows that you are telling the truth. Thank you, Wendy, but I don't even think people need to research that. How many folks have come forward and said that some gay person abused them as a child compared to the Catholic Church? I mean, and by the way, not only did the church do it, but upper echelons of the church assisted in aiding the abusers. If a priest abused a child, a cardinal would move the priest to a different parish so he didn't face justice. That wasn't happening in the LGBT community. It's not even close, not even remotely close in comparison these two groups of people. It's not even remotely close. So, like I said, if that causes me to lose people, then ain't nothing I can do. The church actively knew about it and not only did nothing, but encouraged it. Says, what does that say? I didn't know they were encouraging it, but I do know that they knew about it. And they were, at the very least, trying to hide guilty parties from being, brought to justice. Moving people around away from the people they abused, putting them around new potential victims so that they can abuse again. None of that ever happened in the LGBT community. None of it. Looking in the comments, how would you feel if you sent your son to school and they transition your kid without your consent? How does that happen? Melissa, how you're telling me you send a kid to school and the teacher of the school, what do they do? Take your child to a surgeon? What do you mean? How would you, this is the question, folks. How would you feel if you sent your son to school and they transition your kid without your consent? Where is that even happening at? This is what I'm talking about. We're favoring, when I was mentioning church, this stuff is incredibly rare. Out of what are we, 350 million people in this country? I bet the right, who often makes this, I bet if you put you can damn near put a gun to the head of somebody on the right and tell them, give me 5 examples of children that were transitioned in school without the parents' consent. They couldn't even produce it. Couldn't even come up with it. You're bringing up stuff that is exceptionally rare and making it sound like it's the norm. Very similar to this post-abortion stuff. This stuff ain't happening. This stuff not happening. Not anywhere near to the level of the right making it sound like you should vote based on it. We're talking about stuff that happens to 1 or 2 children nationwide in a country of 300 and some odd million people. And the right is making it sound like it's happening to everybody. I don't know what to do with that. Can't believe people are saying kids were not assaulted in church. I can't believe it either. Don't be stupid, listen to the facts. Yeah, I can't believe people would say that either. Real quick in the comments, Gabe R says, how does one talk to you on your show? The show is coming from TikTok. So that's where you're hearing the audio. That's where you're hearing the conversations from. The Handsome Liberal on TikTok. We're on both applications simultaneously. So YouTube and TikTok. But the callers you're hearing are coming from on TikTok. It's law in California. They can take your child. I want examples. How many children in the state of California have been allowed to transition from one sex to the other without their parents' consent? Actual cases. I mean, it's law that you can actually probably lynch a black man in some states still. That don't mean it's happening. How many instances, real life occurrences, where a child went to school one gender and came home another, and the parent was never told about it? Because the right is making it sound like it's happening everywhere. I don't believe there's any examples of it at all. I don't believe it's anywhere near serious enough to the level that the right is making of it. I believe if it was taking place, the right would be giving you actual examples of it, of parents that are pissed off that they sent Bobby to school and he came home Brenda. Notice the right are not giving you any real world examples of this stuff. Same thing with the post-abortions, post-birth abort. Where are the examples? Where are the examples of it actually happening? Give the name of the news. I don't know what that. And I see your comment in the, well, Melissa, you just typing yes. I don't know what that means. It's been on the news a lot in California. I watch Fox. I haven't heard it. I have not heard it. And if I do hear it, I'll do a show on it and concede the point all day. You guys know I don't ever come across as a know-it-all. I concede points all damn day to the right and the left. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's the whole purpose of a free speech program, is being willing to admit you don't have all the damn answers. That's why I give free speech, because sometimes you guys know more than I do. Hopefully sometimes I can return the favor. But it's all about free speech. But I have not heard anybody transitioning without their parents' consent in the state of California. I have not. I've heard a lot of right-wingers complaining about it, but I haven't heard them present an actual instance of it taking place. My mom's mailman is transgender. He looks ridiculous. Really a girl. Look, I'm not going to say they all look perfect. I get the visuals of it, but here's my point on transgender. It's harmless. I don't buy into the notion that kids are being harmed. And if a dude wants to transition into a girl, what he does with his body, with his life, is of no concern to me. I think this is where the right gets it wrong. Stay out of people's personal business. Just leave it alone. It ain't got nothing to do with you. I really think that the right gets it wrong with that. I believe he's talking about they put it in their brain, so they already transgendered in their mind and made it. How does a school put the idea of transitioning into the brain of a child? I'm assuming you're trying to say that the teacher, I don't even know, what did they have a class where they just keep telling the boy, you know you're a girl, wear a dress? I mean, what are you talking about? How does a school put it into the brain of a child so that they can I'd have to hear explanations for this stuff. It sounds wild and outlandish to me. I'm just going to say that. It sounds wild and outlandish to me. What it starts with the frog. What does that mean? I don't know. I don't know. Hormone blockers seem pretty dangerous. Why are we making it sound like this is happening to even 1 out of every 1,000 children? This stuff is in the realm of 1 in a million type stuff. This is lotto type stuff. Finding children that went through this stuff as a kid and finding valuable lottery tickets. This stuff is just not happening. 99.9% of schools in America is not dealing with any of this stuff. And we're making it sound like it's everywhere. It's very similar to a biological male transitioning to a girl and playing on a girl's team. 99.9% of schools in America is not dealing with something like that. But the right is passing laws. They're talking about it every day. You would think that there are biological males on every girl's team, just about in every school in America. It's exceptionally rare that this stuff is happening. Like I said, over 99% of the schools don't have one player that's like this. But it comes up on the right all the time. Like, why are you so fixated on this? This is just not happening. When you think of the level of things that are happening in this country that people are concerned with, that's got to be way the hell down there on the scale. You got kids in school? You got grandchildren in schools? Ask them how many transgender students they have in a school that also wants to play on the team. I would submit to you, most of the people you know that's in school are going to tell you zero. It's not happening to be making this much of a fuss about it. Newsom signed into law, teachers don't have to tell parents. I've heard about the law, but I'm still stating it in terms of reality, it's not happening. This stuff is not happening to that level. And by the way, I would tell you this. If you got a child that transitioned, because you're saying in liberal cities, or liberal states rather, they're passing a law where a child can transition and the teacher doesn't have to tell the parent. If your child transitions and they tell their teachers, but they don't tell you, that kind of says a lot about your relationship with your own damn kid. Clear, your kid isn't comfortable telling you how they feel. They would actually go to the teacher and tell the teacher they want to transition, but they won't tell you as their parent. A lot of kids are afraid to come out because they got intolerant parents. And that's a perfect example of that. That's why they're passing that law, is because you got a lot of homophobic parents. So as opposed to the student being depressed and stressed out, we'll provide them in the form of a teacher with at least one person that gives a damn about what they're going through. That's where that's coming from. Thank you for that confetti there, Anthony. But that's where that's coming. If your kid would rather tell the teacher that they want to transition and not you as a parent, that says they're not comfortable with you as a parent. They assume that if they tell you, they're going to be faced with resistance. Maybe you'll take them to one of those conversion Bible studies or something, where it teaches you the act of puts God in you and makes you realize it's a sin or something like that. That's why that's happening. So we're going to provide you with a teacher to let you know when your parents refuse to acknowledge what you're going through, at least you have one adult you can confide in and turn to. That's what that's all about. No different than if you feel like you're getting abused at home. There's an 800 number you can call. It's very similar to that. So I don't think it's actually that bad. I think there's a lot of homophobic parents. My dad would have been homophobic. I don't think if I wanted to transition, my dad, Vietnam vet, a Marine, he would have probably beat my ass if I had told him I want to be a female. So there's a lot of homophobic parents out there. Those teachers are giving those children an out that if it did not exist, may result in them taking their lives. Just want to tell you that. Anyhow, folks, it is late. I do got to get up and work in the morning. I appreciate you folks. It sounds like most of the liberals are fairly happy with Kamala's choice, but we got 90 days as of tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. Appreciate you folks tuning in. I'll see you at 1 p.m. Central tomorrow as usual. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Catch you then. Same with you folks on TikTok, on YouTube. Thank you for your support. Do you know what socialism is? Says Melissa. No, I don't, because I live in a capitalist country. I know in this country, the right believes that anything you do for a person is socialism. I would dare say that if you're down 911 and you don't pay for the services the police provide when they get there, folks on the right probably view that damn near as socialism. Free lunch in school, socialism. Tuition forgiveness, socialism. Universal health care so that if you get shot and you have no money to pay at the hospital, socialism. Anything you do for those who can't do for themselves is socialism if you ask the right. So I'll leave it at that. I disagree with it, but that is how the right views it. Helping the poor is socialism, which is why the right is against doing anything for a person that they didn't earn. It's kind of a sink or swim mentality. I don't care what has happened to you. You need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and figure it out. Because if I help you out, it's socialism. 1 p.m. Central. See you tomorrow. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Gotta go.